Well, good morning, YouTube. All right, guys, today is Tuesday, and the ship is just getting ready to pull into Belize City, and we've got some excursions planned. So, we've got to get down to deck 9, at least get one cup of coffee into us, and then we're going to go meet with our group at 6:55 a.m. so that as soon as the ship comes into port, we can get some of the first ones off the boat.
Also, whenever we go in from here, so we have to make sure that everybody has your medallion, as you know, so always when you go on site, you have to.
All right, so we have made it to the Princess Arena. This is where we're all supposed to meet, the group up. I think there's more than one excursion meeting here. But today, they're doing a water taxi, so they wanted us all here early because they got to put us on a boat that comes off of this boat to take us to land. And unfortunately, they just told us we can't take our coffee, so we got to finish it up really quick.
The right sticker, yeah? So if you don't know, if you don't remember the tour code or the name, hey guys, thank you so much. RH3, enjoy your tour, and I'll see you later. It's a great tour, you're gonna love it.
All right, like trained professionals skilled in herding cats, they have got us in a long line heading out to the tender boat.
We have to work off breakfast first. I see.
So you've likely seen in previous videos, there are times where the large cruise ship cannot make it to a pier of some sort, whether the waters are too shallow or a pier just isn't available. They will anchor slightly offshore and then use what they call tender boats to shuttle you in. So that's what they're going to do here. We're gonna get off of the big boat, get onto the small boat, and take us ashore.
Watch yours.
Make your way down.
All right, so I think this is the biggest tender boat we've ever been on. This thing is huge. It's a catamaran style, and there's just rows and rows and rows of seating. Obviously, these boats, and there's a line of them lined up to take more passengers to shore, are much larger than what we typically see. There are times that the boat you get on is actually carried on the ship that they will drop down and use. These obviously much larger, but it seems it's because we're so much further offshore than we ever have been. I don't even see land from where we are right now. So I think it's gonna be a slightly longer ride to the shore than it typically is. All right, and we are away. As you can see, another tender boat being loaded right there. Saying goodbye to the Sun Princess and heading off into the sea. Okay, so we made it ashore. We're officially here in Belize. Now we're just gonna find the rest of our group. We are group number 3, so that we can start our excursion. Okay, after standing in line and having a short restroom stop, we are now on a bus. Luckily, the bus is much larger than the bus we had yesterday that Katie and I could just barely fit between the seats. Now they're telling us we've got an hour to an hour and a 20-minute drive till we get to where our actual excursion is going to be. So it's clouding up. It looks like it might rain. Maybe we'll get some footage on the way there. Maybe we won't.
What?
Speechless, are you?
I was born inside that structure. I was born inside that building. That's where one of the first hospital was in Belize City. Moved to another location in 1995 and never to set foot on Belizean soil. That's the Lindbergh Landing nightclub. And you're gonna. There is a North Ande, South Side. Am I right?
There's young flowers. All right, the heart of palm. All right, those are the things that determine how many onions you want in that pot. It's gonna. That's not his height. Okay, you see he's going up a little bit. That's not his height. I want to share a little between us. So I'm gonna give my time now to my colleague James so that he can continue enlightening
Very
you.
serious. All right. Whatever wildlife. When it comes to these wildlife, and I must point out, my favorite animal for wildcats in the country of Belize, the largest one being the jaguar.
All right, so we have arrived out here at the, it's a farm area. I didn't catch the name of it. They told me, I just don't remember it. The bus ride here was quite long and through some really serious long back roads. I mean, this would be a terrible time to get separated from your group and be lost because we were literally out in the middle of nowhere. Now we had 3 tour guides on the bus. Each one took shifts talking about stories of their youth and their histories and their backgrounds of being locals in the area, which was really nice. Sorry for the foggy lens. The bus was quite chilly and air conditioned, and now that we are off the bus, it's very humid out here because it rained on the way here. All right, so I guess the plan for today is we are going to get on one of these boats here. We're going to take a little river cruise until we get to the Mayan ruins. We'll take a tour of that, and then I believe they bring us back here for lunch before shipping us off back to the ship. And of course, like all tourist traps, they've got a gift shop and a bar for us to spend some more money at before we get on the boat, which we're just not really doing.
Look at that 1,000 horsepower.
1,000 horsepower of Hondas.
Yeah, really. Light them up.
Every Raiders game is a away game.
Well, that's the beauty of Vegas. You know you're going to have people traveling as teams. You know.
We did that a few years ago. The Vikings played San Diego the year before they moved. Hands out of the boat. Remember the name of this area here is in the water. Okay? So, my friends, from this point forward, make sure that you hold out your hats. Make sure that you have a live vest in case we ever need it. But from this point forward, let's enjoy the ride.
Right, and it looks like they're actually using that 1,000 horsepower. All right, so after about a 25-minute boat ride, we went through some rain, and because they were using all 1,000 horsepower on that boat, we all got pretty much soaked. No protection from the rain at all, and but now it's starting to clear up. I hope. The skies still look threatening, but it's not raining anymore, which is a good thing. All right, apparently we are allowed to climb this, so Katie and I are going to see if we can venture to the top, see what the view looks like from up there. Well, Katie and I got a little bit less than a quarter of the way up, and our tour guide said, hey, we're not climbing the structure right now. So, came back down.
Kids on the tour, but
There you go. God bless the people who did this.
Rappers in the U.S. they call it grills. The Mayans do something similar.
Walking through, I want you guys to pay attention to the large palms, which are the largest palm species found in Central America, called the Caboon palm. One thing you need is one
We'll go up on top. Also look at a structure like this. These are tunnels or trenches done from the excavation. So you can tell
That's pretty darn thick. I mean, there's what, 5 layers?
this entire area was considered to have been used primarily by this beautiful bulkhead where we are located now to the one at Chichen Itza.
So the tour guide just explained to us that this area here is actually a ball court. Center stone is kind of iconic. Lots of cool stuff found underneath it when they excavated it years ago. Pretty cool story. And then in front of us is the largest temple here. It's huge.
Once you're ready, let's follow Mr. Alicia and Mr. Director. That is where we had the biggest, warfare that had to do with the, Franciscan people. I'm not sure. and I'm not ever going to change.
It's something that's set up for us.
It is very interesting.
Wow, he's all the way up there.
Oh, is that
There's a whole family in it. Oh, I didn't see that. They got babies up there.
Mitch, we're here.
There's a few babies up there too. Females represented by one alpha male.
Hey, hey, we're the monkeys. We like monkeying around. I had no idea that monkeys made so much noise. Interesting. So I've got to admit, the sound almost sounded synthesized. So when we were walking up from a distance, I could hear the noise as the first group of people had walked underneath the family or group of monkeys up there. And somebody said, oh, it's a jaguar. So I thought they had like a fake jaguar staged so that we could see something. And then that was just a speaker playing that sound. And even when I got up to it, it sounded so acoustic that it was like there was speakers up in the trees or something. But then I actually saw the monkeys and realized that that was really their noise, their calling.
Right, for the jaguars that are coming up, kindly come this way.
All right, so this is the final temple structure that they're taking us to today. And this one, they're actually going to let us climb up. So we're walking around. They've got a designated way so that people don't just trample all over it everywhere. So we're going to climb up. From up here, you can see you're quite a ways up. The river basin is quite a ways down there.
Yep, they had everything cut down and cleared out. Downtown, the biggest city in North Carolina. Just to put things into perspective, everything was. Miss Al, excuse me, sorry.
All right, guys, the view from up top of the temple is quite spectacular. Now, we're told that back when this was a thriving city, all of these trees here were
We gotta
gone.
hold it.
So you'd actually be able to see all the way back over the river basin with some clarity.
Free beers on G. Simply just walk in. You ask for permission. Vividly remember what happened when you entered. Everything else I don't know.
But you were still safe.
Wow, look at the size of the tree trunk. I think it's massive.
They get it quite, done. Because consider.
All right, back on the boat, leaving the ruins, heading back over towards the farm for lunch.
It was 20 to 20 at the end.
I know where you to drink Old West now.
Very nice.
All right, well, lunch was fantastic. It was like a black beans and rice made with coconut milk. So it was nice and moist. Fried plantain, some hot sauce, some really cool potato salad with a flavor I've never had before. And what I'm told is something that tastes like chicken. No, I'm kidding, it was actually chicken. But apparently there are other items that they eat that I guess they're not allowed to give to the travelers. So chicken it is, because it's kind of universal. But either way, the flavor was fantastic, very traditionally prepared, you know, local type cuisine. It was very, very good. All right, for now, back on the bus, headed back over to the cruise port, and maybe we'll hang out there for a little bit before heading back to the ship.
It says 12, but it only lists like
Sunshane's cell phones. One second. Yeah, so I don't really pay attention to cricket, so I did not really look into where they were going to play or who they were going to be. Again, I played soccer in high school, you know, basketball, softball. We don't play baseball. There are a lot of Belizeans.
All right, we're coming back in towards the cruise port area, and there you can see our Sun Princess way offshore, about 4 miles. Fortunately, it's starting to rain again. Alright guys, we're now off the bus back at the port, and they've got a spot here where we can get our passports stamped. Katie and I kind of enjoy doing that, and not all cruise ports have that ability, because this one does, and it's our first time ever coming to Belize. We're going to ask them to stamp it. right, guys, back on the boat by about 3 p.m. or so. Katie and I went straight to the National Cafe, got some coffee, and then came up to the room. She's actually inside resting right now before we decide what we're gonna do for dinner. As you can see, it's starting to get cloudy out again and starting to get later in the day. It's almost 5 now, so sun will be going down soon. What I found interesting today about Belize is, one, architecture. You know, driving through the city, again, kind of like when we were in Roatan, Honduras yesterday, seemed like a lot of very poor areas where houses were run down or like not even finished being built. Some places were nice and some places just weren't. And I actually asked one of the tour guides about it, you know, just thinking that maybe it's because it's a really poor country, and I got a very interesting answer. Apparently here in Belize, at a certain age or requirement, every person is entitled to a piece of land. Now, they don't just reach over and hand it to you. You have to jump through a bunch of hoops and whatnot to get it. And if you do nothing, then you don't get it. And then what people do is start to build their own house. But because the pay here is not very strong, don't quote me on these numbers, but he said a few years back before COVID, it was still only like $1 something an hour for the minimum wage. And then after COVID, it went up to 2 something. Don't quote me on that. So yeah, there's not a lot of income here. They said interest rates are really expensive. So 13 to 16%. So if you're not making a good salary, it doesn't make a lot of sense to finance a home. So what people do is they'll get their property and then they will just save up as much money as they can and then build the home in stages. Now that is exactly why there were areas where we could see just concrete foundations and cinder block walls with no windows, no doors, and no roofs, because that's just the stage that house was at. There were other times that we saw like a 2-story house, but the second story hadn't been built yet. You could see the rebar sticking up because there were plans for a second story, but they hadn't saved to do that part yet. There were some homes you could tell that the entire bottom, the first flat level, was complete and they were living in it. It was painted, it had windows and doors, but the top was just walls with no paint, no windows, no doors, no roof. So they would just do it in stages as they could afford. And he said that the average person would spend 5 or 6 years to build their home. And then some people up to 10 years or so. And apparently there's actually a tax advantage to it. So some people are cheating the system a little bit. If the home isn't finished, the tax rate on the property is like crazy small. So there's actually an advantage to them leaving it unfinished for a long period of time. And that explains some of it. But there were places that looked like they were completely finished and that at one point in time were nice places, like fenced in yards or walls with fences, even neighborhoods that had like the sign out front and the roadway going in, but then just all grown up and like dilapidated, like they built it really nice and then just never maintained it. I just thought that was kind of strange. I see the water's getting churned up over here, so it looks like we are leaving Belize. Tomorrow morning, we will be in Cozumel. One more thing that I thought was kind of funny here is, growing up in Florida, our favorite supermarket is Publix, right? And we don't have anywhere we live now, but we frequent Publix whenever we visit places that have a Publix. And that's Publix spelled with an X on the end, right? Well, here in Belize, I didn't catch it on camera, but there was a Publix, but spelled like public with an S on the end of it. And green lettering, the P was almost the same. It's almost like they were trying to rip off Publix, or maybe Publix was ripping off Belize. I don't know. Another interesting note was there are no fast food restaurants, except in one of those videos you can see that it says something like Julie's Fast Food, but it was actually a little brick and mortar privately owned store. But no McDonald's, no Subways. There was one Sbarro. And the tour guide explained how they're just real protective of their farmers here. So there's really high imports and tariffs on anything kind of brought in. And obviously McDonald's doesn't source their stuff locally. So they would have to pay a fortune to do it. And they said at one point there was a Subway. It only lasted a short period of time because they saw the advertisements everywhere for $5 footlongs, but here they were charging $15 for a footlong. So didn't really work out economically for them. On top of that low pay rate, there are some things here that are very expensive, not just the homes, but like fuel. He said they got all their gasoline from Texas, but they were paying 13 something dollars per gallon. Now, keep in mind, that's not with the conversion rate. Also here, our dollar goes twice as far. So he made the joke that your 401k, if you move down here, becomes an 8021k. So even with the conversion rate, their $13 a gallon fuel is still actually $7.5 US dollars, which is just crazy expensive. All right, guys, I guess we're going to get cleaned up and head to dinner, which reminds me, you guys aren't going to see it till next week, but last night we did the Spellbound experience, and it was absolutely fantastic. I videoed it, haven't finished editing it or anything, but that video will most likely come out next week, so stay tuned to that. It was a really cool experience. I can't wait to share it with you guys. But this video is done. Tomorrow, like I said, we're in Cozumel. More excursions there and a long commute. Again, I guess we have to get on a ferry that takes us from the island of Cozumel over to the main island of Playa Carmen. Don't quote me on that. So yeah, it's like another 2-hour boat ride, then transportation on land. It's going to be a really long day for us. But anyways, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you very much for watching. And until the next time I see you, keep those engines running.